This week we have Dr. Gabriel Tender as our neurosurgeon. I'm super excited to hear what he has to say, but before that, we can go over some announcements. All right, so as we've been mentioning, the College of Arts and Sciences is having like an undergraduate summer research experience. It's due in a week, I believe, March 1st. So for those who are interested, it's open to March or to freshmen and sophomores who are just interested in getting exposure to research. You don't need prior experience. For those who have been around or have heard of FIRE, it's sort of similar to that. I believe they don't have FIRE anymore, and it seems like they've sort of replaced it with this type of research opportunity. But nonetheless, I've looked over a lot of the PIs who are going to be offering research, and it seems extremely interesting, all the different research opportunities and projects available. So if you are a freshman and sophomore and you're just looking to get that initial research and are just interested in research in general, make sure to take a look at that before March 1st. And then also, so for our t-shirt design and interest form, we're planning on finalizing the list of people we want to order t-shirts for. And so if you are interested in purchasing a t-shirt, please make sure you have the interest form filled out. So you can scan that QR code on your screen right now. And just, it's a simple Google form that you just have to fill out. And we just need to get a tally so that we can get an estimated price. And once we have that price point, set by next week, we want to hopefully make those orders either right before or at the latest during spring break so that we can have them for the rest of the semester. So if you are interested in ordering t-shirts, please scan this QR code and fill out the interest form.
Alrighty, so we're halfway through with our Be the Match drive. So far, we've exceeded over 280 people have been registered to be a part of it. So statistically, we're only about 100 away from being able to save a life by how many people we've gotten signed up, which is great. Again, we love our QR codes. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to the sign up sheet. There's still spots available. And if there's already like 5 people, you can just add another dot and go ahead and sign up. You're more than welcome. The more people, the better. Again, it's 10 to 3. If you want, feel free to ask professors if you can speak in class and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. I had multiple people leave genetics lab and go straight to do it. So just know it's up there. And if people can't come to the table for some reason, if they do the text LUC Amsa to 61474, they can do the registration process completely and they can actually get a kit sent to them if they don't have any chance to get to Damon. But if not, go ahead and stop by. And yeah, hope to see you all there.
All right, and I would also like to introduce Stephanie Miller. She reached out to me on behalf of a new student organization here at Loyola called Invisible Illness Awareness Loyola. And could benefit from the message behind their student organization. So Stephanie, if you want to sort of give a little bit more details to our members about how to get involved.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie. I started this organization with one of my close friends because we wanted to make an impact on the average diagnosis time for patients. It personally took me over 5 years to get all of my diagnoses for my chronic illnesses, and I don't want other people to have to go through that. So some of you might be curious of what an invisible illness is, but it's a physical or mental condition that may not be obvious by looking at someone. And we have a lot of traction and resources available for mental illness on campus, but we don't have any for physical illnesses. So that's why we wanted to start this org. So basically twice a month we have meetings. So it's very low commitment. The first meeting of the month, we go over our presentation on whatever illness we're going over that month or group of illnesses that we're focusing on. So this month we're focusing on EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder. And we're focusing on women's health next month. So endometriosis, PCOS, adenomyosis. And in April, we're focusing on chronic pain conditions. So the second meeting of the month is when we host guest speakers, like students who have the conditions that we're focusing on, caregivers or physicians who help people with those conditions. And today is actually our meeting for EDS guest speakers. And we have a physician speaking tonight, as well as 2 patients with EDS. And there'll be opportunities to ask questions of them. So if you're free after this amazing meeting with another physician and you want to see another one, we have a meeting at 7:30 tonight. So if you're interested, please message me and I can send out an email with our Zoom link. So I hope you guys are interested or would like to get involved. And we actually have a board position opening for a fundraising manager. So if you're interested in that, you can also email, let us know. I'll put my our Instagram and my personal email, as well as our foundation's email in the chat. So thank you so much to Amsa for letting me speak briefly on this, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Oh, sorry. So
No, thank you so much for stopping by, and definitely check it out. It's definitely a good message behind the organization. As a new organization, we could help out by attending their meetings and also getting involved.
for sure. Yeah, sorry to interrupt there. We definitely love plugging other student organizations doing such incredible work here on our campus. We definitely aren't aware of just how many other student groups there are, and so we love to plug the ones that do come along. So yeah, thank you, Stephanie. And with that, it is my great honor and great pleasure as well to introduce our speaker for this evening, Dr. Gabriel Tender, neurosurgeon and professor of neurosurgery in different clinics as LSU Health in New Orleans. Please, everyone, join me in giving him a great virtual round of applause. Welcome, Dr. Tender.
All right, I just unmuted myself. Well, I wish I could speak from my house. Actually,
No, yeah, sorry, I'm making sure that wasn't on it. We can't hear you. Sorry.
how about now?
All right, there we go.
All right, so the problem is I'm in the airport, and for some reason my headphones don't like this particular Zoom. So I think there's a lot of background noise, and I apologize for that. But thank you all for having me tonight. And I will try my hardest to keep this open and try to make it interactive. Um, I'm on my way to Vegas, of all places, for a meeting, not for anything else. Well, maybe a little bit, and talk a little bit about how I got where I am and what my life is right now, and the way I see things in terms of where you are, and that's really about it. And then hopefully you guys have some questions that I can answer or not. So I'm gonna try to share my screen. Let's see, desktop one, and this is my PowerPoint. Everybody can see it all right? All right, awesome. All right, so let me get started. And again, I don't have headphones, so every now and then it's gonna be, I'm gonna give it a second. It's like that emoji. All right, so here we go. So this is a summary of my life. Started in Craiova, went to Bucharest for residency, went to Chattanooga, Tennessee for 1 year of internship, went to Charity Hospital for my residency, went to NIH for a fellowship, and then I am now still with LSU at University Medical Center. Nice, brand new, and all that. So I'm gonna go a little bit about what I went through in those days, and you may or may not relate. That's I'm a foreign medical graduate, so life was different, and kind of still is in some ways. But um, okay, trying to advance this. So let me start with my hometown, and that's where I spent my first 18 years of life. I went to this high school for mathematics and physics called Frații Buzești. Doesn't matter what it means. It's an old traditional high school. And what happened in Romania is you go from high school to med school. There's no college. So you have to make up your mind really early. Like by the time you're in the 10th grade, you have to know what you want to do with your life, which is kind of hard. I like the American system better, but the European system is just like this. You got to know what you want, because by the time you finish your 12th grade, you're going to take a test, and that test will put you in medical school or not. Now, in Romania, if you didn't get into medical school or engineering or whatever higher education, you would have, as a guy, you would have to spend 14 months in the military. And that meant you would have to start all over again if you wanted to reapply or retest for just for practical purposes. I'm going to say medical school. So it was life or death in a way for guys. Girls could, just stay home and do it the next year with more training without having to go to school. You basically stay home for 1 year, study, and apply. So what that means is that in my 12th grade, I was studying like crazy. I mean, like to the point, it was like at some point, I would skip school and study at home for like 14 hours a day. And I'm not going to go over like what the topics were and all that, because they're different than the United States. We had to go through biology, chemistry, and physics. And there were 3 separate tests. And the result on that test put you on this like rank list. And depending on your score, you would get in or not. And at that time, there were 11 and a half candidates for 1 spot for medical school. So you had to, it was brutal. You had to study like crazy. Um, as a side note, I used to smoke before the 12th grade. I started smoking in the 9th grade, and that's not a good thing. Just facts, right? And I quit smoking because it was taking too much time to smoke. and not study. So I quit smoking for a whole year, not touched a cigarette. And then after the third test, I had a pack of cigarettes in my pocket and I smoked the whole thing. And then I quit 4 years later, but that's another story. Um, but that's how it was. It was communist Romania, right? And yeah, so I got into med school, and med school was interesting. It's 6 years over there instead of 4 over here. So instead of having college and med school in Romania, you have 6 years of med school, and the first 2 years are like basic science, and then you get in the third year you get into the clinical stuff, and by the sixth year you're supposed to know most of the stuff. So um, I did my med school in Romania, my hometown, and it was good. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of learning, um, and then I can come back to this if you guys want. There's a lot of stories in those days, but med school was fun, and then I went to residency in Bucharest, and this was the hospital. The it's still there. Bagdazar Arseni is the main hospital for neurosurgery in Bucharest, and started training there. Started doing a bunch of surgeries, but it's a very backward system in Romania where they don't let you really operate. They actually don't want you to learn too much because then you would take their place. It's very backwards. It's the opposite of what we do in the States. And at that point, I was so fed up with that system that I tried and somehow succeeded to come to the States. And I passed my USMLE boards, and I got good scores, but nobody would invite me to interviews in the States. And therefore, um, this is a very long story, and I could tell you if you want, but somehow I got the scholarship to come to Chattanooga, Tennessee for 1 year of preliminary surgery with no other commitment. I was basically coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee for 1 year to be an intern on general surgery. It was called preliminary internship, where you don't really know what you want to do in terms of US uh, ways. And, if you decided that uh, you want to do surgery, you would stay on surgery and so on. But for me, there was no commitment. I was planning to go back to continue my neurosurgery residency in Romania. And this is Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're famous for their Chattanooga Choo Choo. I don't know if you guys know, it's a small town in Tennessee. It's kind of fun, actually. I had some, I didn't know, I spoke decent English when I came, but in Chattanooga, everybody had such an accent that I had to date a nurse to teach me how to speak properly. I don't think she succeeded, but uh, so it was a fun year. It was interesting. I learned a lot about the American ways to like see the patient, and like all the abbreviations were totally foreign to me. Like they had like these abbreviations, like 6 or 7 letters, and I was like, "The hell does that mean?" And long story short, it was a good year for me to learn the US ways of doing things. And I did work so hard that year. I remember it was probably when I slept the least over a period of time. I would come home from the hospital. I had rented a place literally 3 minutes just outside the hospital, 3 minute walking. And I would get home around 11 at night, and I would be back in the hospital at 3 o'clock and in the morning. And all I had was an air mattress. That's all I could afford, and boombox. It's back in the day, right? So don't judge. So you know, I was sitting on a toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be like, "What the hell am I doing here?" Like, Jesus Christ, like this is not good. But everybody liked me, thank God, and they gave me some good letters of recommendation. And with those letters and the good scores that I had, I actually ended up matching at LSU, and that was in New Orleans. I had no idea that New Orleans is the party city of the world. I mean, it's like Vegas without the hustle. And like right now it's Mardi Gras here. So I've been here for 22 years, and I'm not that fond of Mardi Gras anymore. I still like it. Don't get me wrong. It's still fun, but I'd rather be in Vegas for a couple of days. I'll be back for a few days of parades. But this was Charity Hospital, and in those days, the residency training was. Can you guys hear me, or is the over thing good? Yeah, okay, all right. So in at Cherry Hospital, there was a lot of freedom for the residents, a lot of independence, decision making, surgery, and all that. So it was great for me. I embraced it. This residency was probably my uh, best time in life because either I had no money, by the way. Like they paid you like nothing to be a resident. They still don't. I feel bad for the residents to this day, but um, you learn so much in such a short time that I it was just operating or partying, and it was fantastic. It's like awesome times. So that was yeah, that was the residency. Towards my like in my fifth year, I did the infolded fellowship at the National Institute of Health, and that's where Fauci is these days. And pretty much everybody in science who is towards the top is at the NIH. It is a brutal working environment. I mean, I thank God that I was not employed there. I was just visiting. Those guys will stab each other in the back on a regular basis just to get one step higher in the hierarchy. And and they get paid next to nothing compared to the rest of the neurosurgery world. And it was just funny to see how they're really fighting for power over there. And they're very smart people, don't get me wrong, but just it's all about power and not a whole lot of money. And that's fine, you know, that's one way to look at it. I learned a lot in terms of publishing, you know, being eloquent, how to like not make blunders, you know, like the little things that um, you don't really learn anywhere else. And it was a good 8 months that I spent over there, and I can talk about it more if anybody wants to hear. And then I came back to New Orleans, and after Katrina, after Hurricane Katrina, I stayed as well. Actually, I stayed as faculty before Katrina, and then I was 1 month in faculty. You know, like getting the big money, and I didn't even get to get my first paycheck because Katrina hit, and I didn't have a direct deposit, so the physical check didn't make it to me. So I was broke still, like a resident. Uh, and that's another story. Like my girlfriend at the time and I, once we were evacuated from the hospital, uh, rented a car and drove all the way to her half brother in Seattle, and then I married her, and now we have 5 kids, and the rest is history, I guess. So, so yeah. So then I came back as faculty after Katrina. It was some rough times, but now New Orleans is blooming, and we got this brand new University Medical Center. It's like $1.6 billion. It's got art. I mean, it doesn't even feel like a hospital. It's like an art museum with patients. It's very nice, and it's a pleasure to work there. And this is one of the hospitals that I work at, and I'll tell you a little bit about the other one, the West Jefferson. It's a split, and it's an ongoing process between the two hospitals. And I will talk about that a little bit. And again, if there's questions, I don't really know what you guys are interested in. It is a lot of fun things to talk about, but right now, that's the main medical center, University Medical Center. And then there's a second hospital where we do a lot of the elective stuff. And I'll touch upon that in a second. Now, I'm program director currently at LSU, and the residents and I, and you know, this is the second guy from the left is another faculty. We like to have a lot of fun. There's a lot of restrictions now to not have resident burnout. There's an 80-hour work week limit. I kind of laughed when I heard that because I probably spent like all the time in the hospital. You know, I even slept in the hospital many times. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing to limit the amount of time that you spend in the hospital as a resident, because that implies that you have a personal life as well, which back in the day was unheard of. So it's a good thing, and I embrace it, and I enforce it. And look at the residents; they're so happy. You know, they just operated for 10 hours, and now they're playing beach volleyball, and everybody's good, right? So we can talk about the residency as well if you want. Again, I'm just touching upon the things that I'm doing, and I'll take a lot of questions if you want at the end. I do go back to Romania. I started going back to Romania in 2010 because I wanted to teach them. They're about 20 years behind US in terms of technology. So um, I went back there to teach minimally invasive spine techniques, and initially they were reluctant, but over time they started doing these cases with me, and at this point they actually know how to do um, these techniques. They still lack the money to buy the implants and instruments, but they know how to do them. So I still go once a year. It used to be twice a year, but after COVID, I'm barely like making it once a year, and teach them how to do things. Let's see. This is the team that I work with, part of it. The old guys in the middle, the bald guys are the senior surgeons. They were my teachers before I left, and it's a delicate balance because now I went back to teach them how to do things, and they did not complain. They actually embraced it, and they're really good at it. I mean, they're skilled surgeons. They just didn't have the exposure to technology that we do, and it was kind of fun to teach my former professors how to do things. And it's not all surgery. We also, Romania has a very active nightlife, and there's like good food, and a lot of entertainment. So it's not all surgery that we do over there. Let's put it that way. So getting back to where I am right now. So this photo was taken for one of the local newspapers because they were advertising what we do. And yeah, I seem very relaxed, and most of the time I am. So this is my schedule, and maybe this is something that you start with when you ask somebody old like me, like, what the hell are you doing all week? Like, how do you justify the ginormous amount of money that you make? And Monday we have, so there's two hospitals that I work at mostly. It's West Jefferson and University Medical Center. So at West Jefferson, we do all the elective surgeries that are, brain and spine for the underserved population, so to speak, of Southern Louisiana. So there's a lot of people. Like, if you want to get an appointment in my clinic, you're probably going to have to wait about 6 months. And it's the way it is. It's a very high demand, and not that much, like, it's just me and another guy who see these patients. So we got clinic at this West Jefferson Hospital. It's all angry, underserved people. They don't get pain meds from their primary care physician. They have horrendous spine problems. Some of them, brain, tumors and stuff. And it's a very unhappy group of people, but they don't have anywhere else to go, and then they just come to me, and I try my best to help them. If you look at my reviews, they're terrible. Like, everybody who doesn't get surgery is very upset because a lot of these people don't need surgery, and I tell them, I can't help you, I'm sorry. And they're like, tender is bad tender. And then the ones who get surgery, they're like, oh my God, changed my life, it's great. So it's a lot about patient selection. You'll figure this out down the road, but I do what's right. Like, sorry. So Tuesdays I do surgery at the University Medical Center. This is a lot of trauma, a lot of people shot in the head or the spine, a lot of people with bad disease that end up at UMC. And this can be a short day if we are done by 2 p.m., or it can be a 10 p.m. kind of day, again depending on what happens that week, and who gets shot and who gets not. Wednesday, I'm also at UMC. I also have clinic. So working with the residents is nice because you can split. You can either let the resident do surgery and you're in the clinic, or vice versa. I do have a senior resident who I can trust to do the right things, both in clinic and surgery. And it's been working out really well because the residents need that independence to make decisions on their own. So, Wednesday, like today, we had two surgeries and we also had clinic. And that's why I'm a little worn out, because I went back and forth with I have a senior and a junior resident at UMC, and we made it work, but it was rough for a minute there. So, but I'm going to Vegas, so who cares, right? So, Thursday and Friday is surgery at West Jefferson, and these are usually big elective surgeries. If you have a slippage in your spine, if you have a brain tumor, these are long cases. Again, I have residents there as well, so we usually run 2 rooms, and that means that we do 2 surgeries at the same time, but the critical part does not overlap. So it's an easy surgery in one operating room and a harder surgery in the other room. So we're done with the easy one real quick, and then we do the hard one, a little bit later. So it's very efficient. It's also stressful because uh, these are the big days of surgery. And at noon on Friday, if we have time, we review the cases as a group, either by Zoom or directly, that we're going to do the next week. So everybody gives their input, what you should do, and it's basically like talking about what you do with your peers and get some input how other people would do things. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of opinions out there how to do the same exact patient. You know, different people have different opinions what to do, especially in spine. And first Tuesday of the month is academic day. The residents will all get together and do academic stuff. None of them will have to go to surgery. We protect that day for them to learn whatever they need to learn, to grow. And that's a pathway that I can talk uh, about each year, how they evolve and how we evaluate them and how they evaluate us. And it's very democratic actually. And if you screw up both as a faculty or as a resident, these evaluations do matter. But fortunately, we have a good group of people, and we have not beaten each other up yet. So, I'm part of the review process for a lot of the applicants from medical school to residency, and I feel your pain. Like right now, you're in a process of the major decisions about your future, and don't take this lightly. I'm not saying don't party. By all means, party, because life never stops. Like you gotta have fun in the process, but there are major decisions to make, and as a medical student, you're gonna have to decide what you want to do, and you have to figure it out relatively quickly. Not as quickly as in Romania in high school, but you gotta sort of know if you're good with your hands, if you like, people know whether it's medicine or surgery very quickly in their med school, because surgery guys or girls are very hands-on. If you watch Scrubs, you're gonna get some of that, feel. The two friends, one is medicine, one is surgery. Um, and there's a third option. You can do like ancillary stuff like radiology or pathology that you don't even have to see a patient. You just interact. I mean, you just see the imaging or pathology slides and all that, and you can have a good life there. And I'll talk about that if you want later on, because one of our residents who looked great on paper, he was phenomenal, like published and wanted to do neurosurgery, and then he starts it and he's like, I can't do this. So he switched to pathology, and he's a great pathologist. But we didn't pick up on the fact that he could not interact with patients and he didn't like blood. Who would have thought, right? Like surgeon don't like blood. Um, the first and second years in medical school are um, non-clinical, but there's options for those who want to rotate, especially the second years. They come and go through our clinic and surgery and all that, and you kind of want to see if you like surgery or medicine. You should probably try to rotate, if nothing else, just a week or a few times, just to see which one you like. You're gonna figure it out real quick which one it is that you like. And don't get me wrong, I'm a surgeon. I obviously like surgery, but thank God for those who like medicine, because otherwise, we would kill each other if it's just surgeons. In the third year, you pretty much have to make up your mind when you go through the rotations. And then in the fourth year, it's time to pick a couple of places that you really like and go there and work your butts off like I did in Chattanooga. Like really try to impress, because it matters. When you spend a whole month with the team, they will know what you're made of. And hopefully that's good stuff, you know. Um, and that's how it works. Um, Now, this is a little advanced, and I'm not going to spend too much time about this, but if you're graduating neurosurgery resident, there's very few spots for neurosurgery, very few. And if you get into neurosurgery, it's nice because the world is your oyster. By the time you're done, you can make decisions that are all good problems to have. Like, do you want to make 1 million or 2 million? It's like that kind of problem. So it's it's nice, but there's a lot other things involved. Like a lot of people like big cities. The bigger the city, the less money you make. Um, the types of cases you do. If you go in private practice, I think I'm going to touch upon this later on. Who do you work with? Like, is this a nice hospital, or is this a like NIH type hospital where everybody hates each other? And most importantly, I don't know why I put it last. It's your spouse and your family. Like, you got to have good schools. You got to have a happy wife. And yeah, hopefully, all this comes together. But these decisions, every now and then you have to sacrifice one. And if you look at it, I'm not sure which one I would sacrifice. So far, I've done reasonably well. In academia, there's some benefits, I say have to, but for me, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to teach the residents. I love to see them starting in the first year. They're scary cats, and they shake when they make their first incision. And then by the time they're done, they think they're gods and there's nothing they can't do. And that's a good feeling. I mean, they really thrive when they're fostered. That's the beauty of the US system, as opposed to the European system where you get beaten down the whole time, the whole residency. So, our residents are just blossoming, and by the time they're done, I will let them operate on me any day. I'm that confident. Um, there's some other problems. You have to publish all the time, which is, again, it forces you to be articulate and like do things that other people don't. A lot of people send you their failures, like when they do a surgery or two or three and they fail. They're like, oh, look, we got the specialist at LSU. He's gonna fix you. And you get all these train wrecks that come to you. It's part of the job, and I like it. I mean, I tell them that they've been messed up, but I'll try to fix them. I like to present at meetings. That's why I go to Vegas, and I was in Florida last week. Um, Life is good when you present and you interact with others. You see where you are in the the general world, and then you have to renew your contract every year. That's a sour point, but hopefully they're not going to fire me anytime soon. Uh, you do get paid very well, and neurosurgery is at the top of the list. But a lot of the surgery specialties are well paid, and this is a very humble estimate what you actually get paid. It's actually quite a bit more than that. there's a policeman right next to me, so I'm gonna fake my putting my mask on, my chin diaper. Uh, Hopefully they're not gonna mess with me. Um, so I really think, you know, uh, if you do something that you like, uh, you're not gonna work for a day in your life. So I would work for free if I didn't have 5 kids and a wife that needs money. I really really like what I do, and this was obviously, you know, the one thing that I really cared about. That's why I didn't go in private practice where I could make 3 or 4 times what I make in academia. Um, and I enjoyed the type of cases that I do. My boss is very good. He's hands off, so I do what I want, but he backs me up if I need help. You know, in terms of, you know, there's always somebody above who wants to mess with you, and my boss shields me from all that trash that comes from above. The co-workers are important. That's why I was saying there's very different work ethics at the 2 hospitals, and I can talk about that if you guys want. Um, and you know, again, the work environment. If you go to work and you have a stress ulcer about how you're going to have to deal with these a-holes all the time, it's probably not a good place to work. It's, you know, that's how it is. Location is important, and that applies to every uh, time in your life. You know, you go in a big city, it's awesome. If you're single, and you know, lifestyle is very intense. You know, you go anywhere you want. There's direct flights everywhere. You can go to Europe. Uh, that's my thing. And but it's hard in the big cities. There's a lot of big fish, so it's hard to make a name for yourself if you are into, you know, private practice or academia or what have you. Smaller cities, a lot easier. You know, the money is better. The, you know, everybody is your friend. Hopefully, if you're good, and you know, you literally go to a restaurant and you know everybody, right? I did not particularly like that. I kind of like to not know everybody when I go places. I was thinking that I would hate to be like Leo DiCaprio or Tom Cruise, because you can't go anywhere without people, like, you know, you know what I mean. And there's a benefit to the hometown. Like, you know, maybe you know, you're fed up with everybody, but it matters when you have kids. I know it's a little early to talk about this, but it matters if you have family support. And you know, people say, how do you balance work and family life? And there's totally a balance. You know, you gotta have time for your family. If you don't, then you're not gonna have a family, and that's kind of sad. Um, when our applicants come to interview for neurosurgery is 7 years. And the ladies who come and interview are around, you know, 25, 26 years of age once you're done with your med school. And I do ask them sometimes, you know, have you thought about, you know, your best childbearing age years are going to spend in residency where you work so hard, you know, that you got to take that into account. Now, don't get me wrong, we have 3 and about to have 5 out of 9 residents who are females in our program, and they're awesome. They're really awesome. But you have to think about that, because by the time you're done, you're going to be 32 or 33, and you know, there's only so much time to have kids. And if you want to have a giant family, you know, I mean, yes, you can have kids in the residency, but it's not easy, because you know, you get some time off, but you're not, if you don't have a lot of support, it's going to be very hard to take care of kids and be a resident. It just is, you know. And we take a lot of you know, we try hard to like make it easy, but it's still very hard no matter how you look at it, because you have to have a certain number of cases during the residency and so on and so forth. We can talk about that as well. Again, I don't know what you guys are interested in, but and kids do change your life, especially the first one. Boy, like, it's just, you know, like, all of a sudden things, you know, you get angry out of nothing, you know, like you wake up 10 times at night when he cries or she, and it's a tough life. And you know, if you don't plan for that, even if you plan for it, it's hard. But if you don't plan for that, there's a high rate of divorce or separation after the first child. So take that into account if you're a resident. And finally, again, lifestyle matters, whether you have family or not. A lot of people are into outdoor sports. You're not going to get that in Manhattan. Again, Manhattan is nice when you're single, but if you have a bunch of kids, good luck, and just, I know it's hard to think about, but if your spouse is not happy, or your significant other, I just said spouse for, brevity, you're probably not going to be happy either. And the separation is not the answer. The working together is how it should work. And yes, you're gonna, I don't know if you guys have seen that commercial to Budweiser where there's like two frogs and one of them is like Louis, like wants to strangle the other frog. You feel a lot like that many times, but at the end of the day, those are going to be, that's going to be the person who's going to be there for you when you have problems. So, my Romanian background says that you should never divorce, you should never separate, but that's just me. And, that's, anyway, so I'm coming to an end here. I think, I don't know how my time is looking, but what I'd like to do is have you guys write down the top 5 things that make you happy. And I started writing mine, and then I realized it's going to be inappropriate, so I stopped. So, you gotta like write them down and keep them to yourself, and just try to do that. Try to do those 5 things. Like, people don't realize how important it is to be happy, and do the things that make you happy. And again, if you find that balance between the things that you like to do and what's available, I think you're gonna do really well. And I think that's all I have. This time in your life is critical for decision making. But if you just focus on the job and the career and all that, your life is gonna be over before you know it. And trust me, uh, you know, and you gotta have fun along the way. And like I said, in my residency, operating and partying, best time of your life. Just I have a story when I was in let's see, my second year of residency, and I was in New Orleans, and obviously, and we did 2 long surgeries. We were done at 11 o'clock at night, right? All right, the cops left, so I can take my chin diaper off. The surgery was over, so we went to this place, Protocol, in the French Quarter, and I was starving. I didn't eat the whole day because we were in surgery, and I ordered this drink called Monsoon, and it's basically a bunch of liquor with a little bit of orange juice, and I thought it was orange juice. It's like giant, like plastic cup, and I drank the first one. I was really thirsty, and I drank the whole thing. I was like, man, this is some good orange juice. So I take the second one, I drink that one too. And then I haven't eaten all day, right? It's full of liquor. And I'm like, does this thing have alcohol? Like, I was with, my chief surgeon and a couple of reps, and they're like, Gabe, are you nuts? That's all alcohol with a splash of orange juice. So anyway, that was one night where I was like beyond inebriated. But I had a nice burger, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I went to surgery. So, that was the type of life that we had. It was pretty awesome. But at the end of the day, I know it's a lot of stuff to go through, but it's fun to know things. It's fun to be, to be knowledgeable, not necessarily smart. I mean, you got to be somewhat smart, but it's got to, and if you know what to do at the right times, and you work hard at the right times, it's totally awesome to party in the meantime, like in between. And yeah, I think that's all I have. There's my wife on the left, and my kids on the right. Santa is not my child, but the other ones are. So that's all I have, guys. Hit me with questions. No questions? Everybody's good? That's all I got.
I have a quick question. What did you do while you were at the NIH?
So NIH was, let me stop sharing the screen so we can all, hold on. How do I stop screen sharing? Stop sharing, right there, all right. So when I was at NIH, I did pain research, and we were investigating this substance that when it was injected next to the neurons, it would just kill the neurons that mediated chronic pain. So I'm going to try to keep it short. There's three types of neurons, with the one in the middle having two subtypes. And regular acute pain is mediated by the first two, and chronic pain is mediated by the last two that have smaller fibers. So this substance, if you want to look it up, it's called resiniferatoxin, kills just the small fiber neurons that mediate chronic pain. So we experimented on monkeys, injecting it in the trigeminal. We did like a small surgery, injected the trigeminal ganglion on one side, and then sprayed them with this substance that caused pain. And the half that was injected was not painful. I mean, based on the reaction to that spray. We published that in the Journal of Neurosurgery in 2004, I believe. Anybody else? Did that answer your question? Yeah. All right. What else? You can ask anything. I might not answer, but you can ask anything.
Oh, hi, Dr. Tender. Presentation. I had a quick question. When you were talking about
I kind of lost you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. When you were talking about figuring out your career path and figuring out what makes you happy in terms of your lifestyle as well, what were some things that you kept in mind in terms of how to balance your work and your life outside of work?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the person that you choose to be with. But beyond the initial physical attraction, there's a deeper understanding of, like, what does the other person want to do with their life, and try to work something out before you commit to a relationship. That's just my opinion. And in my personal experience, the person that I chose to be with is a receiver. Like, she likes to be taken care of, and she likes to have a lot of kids, which for me was good. And I'm an alpha male, so I knew that she was gonna be like the good partner that is gonna, I mean, first of all, she was smart, and that was one of the prerequisites. I couldn't be with a dumb person. But the personality wise, we matched, not because we were similar, but the opposite. She was a receiver and I was a giver, and I knew it's going to work out. And sometimes the same things that attract you to somebody also drive you mad afterwards when you've been together for a while. And no matter how your chemistry goes, it's true. Like, too much of the same thing is going to drive you nuts. And so far we're still together, and it's a everyday battle. Oh, that's the other thing. Don't think that the relation stays the same, and the person that you marry or you're with now is going to be the same in 6 months. We all have ongoing, evolving needs, and those change literally, like, at the most, I would say every 6 months, probably more than that. So when people say, "Oh, we've been married for 25 years," I haven't been that long, so I have, I think, 16 years now. But you know, it's not the same marriage. Like, you know, if you go back in time, if I go back in time and, you know, go to like 2010 or 2015, or such a different relationship at these time points, and, you know, like, as opposed to now, you know, or when we first started dating, they're very, very different. But the needs that we had, I correctly assumed that we complement each other. And, you know, it's a complex situation, and I wish you guys the best. You know, like, it's such a hard choice to make, but that's the secret. You gotta be with the right person, and then you know, hopefully he or she will be there for you in your hard times, and vice versa. So that's how I try to, you know, um, manage work versus family. You know, I try to provide what she wants, um, and at the same time do what I like. And most of the time it worked out, you know. So money counts for the spouse, no doubt about it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
All right, just so we're cognizant of time, Dr. Tender, if you still have time after this, I'm sure other members would love to ask more questions if they still have it. But we will just go ahead. Actually, first of all, a huge round of applause from everyone, please. That was there are a few in the 4 years I've been with AMSA. There are a few presentations from physicians that really stand out, really, truly golden presentations, and I'm certain that was one of them. I know for me, at least, as well as my other members here. But all right, just gonna share our final points. Can everyone see this? It's all good. All right. So next week we have the annual, the coveted, the very, very exciting LUC AMSA annual Jeopardy event. Please do not miss this one. It is always a great time. It will be in person. Sorry, I didn't put that on this slide. I'm sure it's in LSB 142, our usual meeting spot. We will be competing for merchandise and prizes, and it will be collaborative. Don't worry if you know, like, you're not going to have to go up in front of everyone and get something wrong. For instance, we know it's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night after a long day of classes, so come out for a good time, and we will be having pizza served, free pizza at the very least. Come grab a slice, say hello. Love to see you guys there. And so with that, we wish you guys a good night, and thank you very much for coming. Here is our usual mailing list and social media. If you have any questions to ask us or Dr. Tender, we'll hang out for a few moments. But with that, we'll stop recording.